Dear students, in the last class we have discussed up to the solution of theta of theta equation, and we got a new contour number, that is L. And previously when we are trying to solve phi of phi equation, we got a contour number M. And today we will try to solve the third equation that we have obtained in the previous class. The third equation is already here, that is nothing but the radial equation. This particular equation, what we call it as a radial equation, and this radial equation, if you try to solve, then we will get another contour number that we will see today. So this is the radial equation that we have obtained in the previous class. As you can see here that now there is no need of using this partial differentiation notation, because the whatever we have on the right hand side of the partial differentiation, those are simply d by dr differentiation. Therefore, simply we can replace the partial differentiation with respect to d. That's all. And then that is what it is done here. And similarly, there is a h cross square minus of h cross square upon 2 nu is outside, so that we can take it inside the bracket and then multiply it. That's what it is done. And further, we also obtained what is the value of beta. Beta, initially we have introduced as a constant when we are trying to solve the theta of theta equation, right? But at the end of the derivation, we understood that that quantity beta has to be L into L plus 1. Therefore, we will try to substitute what is beta of beta. So that is exactly done in the next step, right? So minus h cross square by 2 mu 1 over r square d by dr. Okay, so the dou upon dou r is replaced with the d by dr. So r square remain the same, d capital R of r by dr. And then there is a minus, so already minus sign, and outside there is a minus sign. So therefore it is a plus h cross square upon 2 mu multiplied by L into L plus 1 by r square multiplied by r of r. And then outside we have the other term, that is the potential energy term, right? And you try to realize and then try to understand what exactly this equation has got 3 different terms. And the first term, what we refer to as a radial, this is basically a kinetic energy term due to the radial motion of the electron, right? And the other thing, what we call it as a angular motion. Okay, this is due to the angular motion, and this is due to the potential energy. Okay, potential energy of the electron, because of it is interacting with the nucleus, and that is why the potential energy. Now the question is, the angular motion or the angular component, we try to segregate when we are trying to separate 3 differential equations of the original hydrogen atom Schrodinger wave equation. You may recall in the previous class, so originally we have a Schrodinger time-independent Schrodinger wave equation, which we try to solve after converting it into the polar coordinate system, the Hamiltonian. And then there we have obtained 3 different equations. One actually, 2 of the equations actually represent the angular motion, and the third one is the radial thing. So this what we are discussing is the radial motion, but still there is a angular component is basically sitting over here. Why I'm saying angular motion? Because there is L into L plus 1, right? L into L plus 1. This is what? This represents the, it's a contour number, represents the angular motion, right? So why this particular thing is appearing, even though you have we have tried to eliminate it? That is a point that I'd like to discuss upon, and after that we will proceed. As you know that the radial motion is nothing but, you have a nucleus. Suppose you have a nucleus in the hydrogen atom, and you have an electron, right? The electron actually can move in a different directions, right? It can move away from the nucleus, right, or close to the nucleus. So when electron is basically radially it is moving, then its kinetic energy is basically changing, right? That is why the first term is there. Well, The other term, when it is moving this direction, right? You know, you remember the potential energy, it doesn't depend upon the direction, right? In the case of hydrogen atom, the potential energy doesn't depend. So the potential energy can, this direction or at a distance of r, the other direction. So basically it is symmetric. So in all 360-degree angle, as long as the r is same, the potential energy remain the same, right? So when it is moving radially, then we have a problem. The hydrogen atom, this is like a classical picture. uh, when it is moving very close to the hydrogen nucleus, okay, apart from the radial motion, it will also try to move angular, right? It is also exhibiting the angular motion, right? So since it is moving angular motion, suppose let's say it is somewhat very far from the nucleus, and then let's say it has the angular momentum of mvr, okay, some quantity, let's say some number, you just imagine some number. Then the same electron, now it has gone little closer to the nucleus. In this case, what will happen is that the electron will go much faster in order to maintain the angular momentum, angular, in order to maintain the original angular momentum. Okay, so therefore, the apart, as it is moving away from the nucleus or close to the nucleus, it doesn't matter. Okay, the angular motion will be always associated with this particular radial motion. Okay, so that is why this particular term, the blue color, whatever it is indicated here, the way it is appearing is like exactly like a potential energy, 1 over r square. Okay, what are those numbers? It is h cross squared 2 mu l into l plus 1 over the divided by r square. So r square, the way it occurs, it's like exactly like a potential energy, right? So this is mainly because the angular radial motion is associated with the angular motion. Okay, so depending upon the situation, the angular momentum will be adjusted such that the entity, the hydrogen atom, remain the same, right? So that's the explanation. Then we will try to proceed in solving this particular equation. Now, as you can see, there are different constants are there. So we will try to eliminate all these constants by making some substitution. So let us substitute one small substitution, like rho is equal to 2 times r. Rho is equal to 2 times r. Yeah. So this is the substitution I'm trying to introduce. So rho is equal to 2 times r, alpha times r. So what is alpha? Alpha is I'm introducing as a constant, which its value has to be defined. So we'll do that as we proceed further. And it's like you remember something like the case of the harmonic oscillator. Also, we made some substitution, right, which is directly proportional to the equilibrium distance, right? Similar to that, rho is directly proportional to r. R is nothing but the radial distance. Radially, the electron can move accordingly. Its kinetic energy can change, right? So it is directly, it's a parameter, one parameter I'm defining, and it directly proportional to r. Okay, so the constant we replace with the 2 alpha, right? So once that is done, then you can actually evaluate certain things like uh, d rho. D rho is equal to 2 alpha times dr, right? From this equation, d rho is equal to 2 alpha times dr. So d upon d rho is equal to, from this, okay, d rho, d by d rho is equal to 1 over 2 times alpha, right, multiplied by d upon dr. Okay, from this again you can write down what is d by dr. From this you can write down what is d by dr. Why? Because d by dr is something, it is present in my equation. So I am trying to evaluate what is required so that this particular equation now it will be transformed into a function of rho. Okay, When you make a substitution, then naturally the equation will transform into the new parameter. So we have to evaluate what exactly the terms which are there, which are present. So d upon dr is equal to 2 alpha times d upon d rho. The next one, so from this, what is r? R is nothing but rho by 2 alpha from this expression, and then r square becomes rho square upon 4 alpha square, right? So this is fairly easy to guess it. From this, that is one thing. And then from this expression, you can evaluate what is d capital R of R by dr is equal to dou s of rho by dou rho multiplied by 2 alpha. Okay, when you make a substitution, then naturally, initially you have a expression R of R, right? This is the expression, differential equation in R of R. Now, when you make the substitution, naturally it will transform to a new function, that is S of rho. So let us consider that S of rho is a new function if you make the substitution, right? Now already d upon dr is there, which is equal to 2 times alpha 2 alpha d upon d rho. So now d capital R of R upon dr is equal to ds of ds of rho by d rho 2 alpha, right? And then further you can proceed and then calculate what is r square. What is r square d upon d capital R of R by dr. This is something that we can evaluate. Why? Because here there is a term. So this is the term that we wanted to evaluate. And well, that you can do that. So r square is known from this expression. Okay, it is nothing but rho square upon 4 alpha square. Rho square upon 4 alpha square, and d capital R of R by dr is what is nothing but this is the quantity. So this quantity you can substitute here. Okay, and similarly from this quantity you can substitute here. So from these you can just simplify it basically. Here you can see this is the derivation with respect to rho, but this is a 2 times alpha. So the 2 alpha you can move outside the bracket or outside the differentiation, and then here in the denominator you have 4 alpha square. The 2 alpha cancel out, and then in the denominator you will get basically rho square upon 2 alpha multiplied by ds of rho. Okay, these are very small thing that you have to you can take a notebook, rough notebook, and keep working on it, then you will get it. So next thing what I'm trying to evaluate is the entire quantity. What is the entire quantity? So 1 over r square d upon dr r square d capital R of R upon dr. That is a quantity I just want to evaluate. From this, it is like 1 over r square d upon dr, right? And then rho square upon 2 alpha, because this we already evaluated. That is nothing but rho square upon 2 alpha d capital S of rho. Okay, this quantity is exactly this quantity. So what is 1 over r square? R square, we know that rho square upon 4 alpha square. So it is a inverse of that, 4 alpha square by 4 alpha square upon rho square. And then d by dr is nothing but 2 alpha times d upon d rho, right? So overall that you can actually simplify the expression, and what you get is this. So having obtained this, the entire quantity, then you can substitute it back in the previous expression, okay, which we have expanded, and then that is what it is done here. Okay, so if you go back and see, this is minus h cross square upon 2 times mu, and then this quantity was here actually. Okay, that we are replacing, because this quantity in terms of rho, it is this quantity, so we have replaced this. And then the second term, if you see, evaluate, that is h cross square upon 2 mu L into L plus 1, and here there is if I'm correct, in the denominator you have r square. So not in the numerator, r square. So r square is what? it is an inverse of, it is basically rho square upon 4 alpha square, but it is in the denominator, therefore the 4 alpha square upon rho square it is there. So here there is a R of R. Now I have replaced with the S of rho. Okay, now I have replaced with the S of rho. And further here, you have E square upon in the E square upon 4 pi epsilon R. What is R? R is nothing but rho upon 2 alpha. Rho upon 2 alpha. So that is what it is replaced here. So essentially, after making this substitution, rho is equal to 2 alpha times R, then you convert the entire expression into in terms of rho. Okay, then that is what it is done here. Then the next step, what you can do, you try to divide the entire expression with this quantity, minus h cross square upon 2 mu multiplied by 4 alpha square. That is the one that you can divide the entire expression. Okay. Now, when you do that, so naturally it basically cancel out. What are those things? Okay. So this is the quantity, it will cancel out, because you are actually dividing with the same quantity. That will cancel out from the first term. Whatever second term also I do have the same thing. So here that h cross square upon 2 mu, and there is a 4 alpha square. So that get cancelled out. So from the first term it is this, okay, 1 over rho square, because here there is 1 over rho square, d upon d rho square, ds of rho by upon d rho, and then minus, because you are actually multiplying with the minus, right? So dividing with the minus of h cross square upon 2 mu 4 alpha square. So minus, you will have to account a minus sign here, and then ds l into l plus 1 s of rho upon rho square. So rho square remain the same, s of rho is remain the same. Okay, plus. But here there is nothing, like you don't have exactly minus h cross square by 2 mu 4 alpha square in this expression. So that you have to simplify it. So e square upon 2. Yeah. So 2 mu e square by h cross square 4 alpha square h 4 pi epsilon rho 2 alpha times s of rho. Okay. Where from it has come? You are actually dividing, right? When you are dividing, then 2 mu will come into the numerator. Okay. First of all, there is a negative sign. Since there is a negative sign, then both get cancelled out, and then it is plus. So then the h cross square by 2 mu. So 2 mu will come to the numerator. It is in the denominator, but since you are dividing, it will come to the numerator part. So it is there, and then denominator you have to put the h cross square. Okay, that I have kept it. Then not only that, this 4 alpha square is there. So 4 alpha square in the denominator you will have to put it. So this quantity is something that we have. So the entire thing is because of this division. Then here e square upon 4 pi epsilon rho, that remains same. The rest of the things I just kept it as such. There is nothing else. On the right hand side, that is the energy thing. The same thing we'll have to do it. So minus 2 mu by h cross square multiplied by 4 alpha square multiplied by E and multiplied by S of rho. Okay. And then you can basically do a small simplification here, that there is a alpha and here is a alpha square that you can do. So 2 alpha you can cancel out, and you can simply write it 2 alpha. Okay, that is the next step, you can do it. Okay, and further what you can do, you can also do a simple substitution in this expression. In this expression, I told you that the alpha value we have introduced like a constant, right? So alpha we can simplify. We can substitute. We can define alpha as we wish. Okay, it is because a constant. But then what we will do? We will try to define such that it will have the equation, the entire expression becomes much simpler. So alpha, the value of alpha had to be defined. That's what I said. So now, how do I define it? I will define such that the equation, this radial equation actually becomes looks much simpler and simpler to handle it. So what I do that minus 2 mu upon h cross square alpha square E is equal to alpha. Okay, I will define alpha. I will define alpha such that, okay, this quantity becomes 1. Where is this? 2 mu E by h cross square alpha square, that is there. So this quantity becomes 1. Therefore, alpha has to be this quantity. Okay, so I will define my alpha such that this quantity becomes 1. That means alpha square is equal to minus of 2 mu E by h cross square, right? If alpha square is like this, then what is alpha? Alpha is equal to minus of 2 mu square root of 2 mu E upon h cross square. 2 mu E upon h cross square to the power 1 by 2, that is basically square root. Now here you realize that alpha is what? Alpha I introduce as a constant, right? Now the constant must be real and it cannot be imaginary, but the way it appears, it is basically imaginary. Because alpha square, so when you square any quantity, what should be the case? It should be definitely a positive quantity, isn't it? When you take the square of any quantity, it must be a positive quantity, but here it is a negative quantity. Why is it so? Okay, it is not very unusual. Just look at suppose if the electron is much away from the nucleus, then its interaction energy, that is the potential energy, what will happen? It is 0. If it is very far, there is no interaction between the nucleus and the electron, therefore its potential energy or the energy of the system, it becomes 0. Suppose if it comes very close to the nucleus, then what will happen? There is interaction energy, and then that interaction energy, since both are the oppositely charged, so we will represent the energy as a negative, right? So negative and this positive, negative, it becomes basically positive, right? So it appears like alpha is somewhat imaginary, but then it is not the case. It is as per the physical significance of the electron and nucleus interaction. Then what you can do next thing, okay, you can just make the substitution, since now we have defined what is alpha. So it is 1/4, right? Yeah. So here this entire quantity minus 2 mu by h cross square alpha square, 2 mu E by h cross square alpha square as a 1. Okay, we defined alpha such that it becomes 1. Therefore, the right hand side, it becomes minus of 1/4 S of rho. That is the quantity. So this is right hand side, it becomes like this. Okay, and next thing is that in this expression, I can see that there are a lot of constant. You can see a lot of constant. Mu is the reduced mass, and then it is a charge, and then h cross square constant, and this is constant. This entire thing is constant. Therefore, what we do, we try to replace with that constant with another constant. Let lambda is equal to, of course, you can do a small cancellation here, that there is a 2 numerator and denominator also too. Both get it can be cancelled, and remaining quantity, that is mu E square upon h cross square alpha times 4 pi epsilon. So that is the quantity we will replace with another constant, that is lambda. Okay, let lambda is equal to that quantity. Now further we can also do a little bit of simplification. Here you can notice that this is a derivation of this quantity, right? Isn't it? So it is actually a derivation of with respect to rho, and there are two functions, that is rho square multiplied by ds of rho upon d rho, right? Like the derivation of product, you know how to do it. That is what it is done here. The simplification is here. Okay, so 1 over r rho square, let it be as such, but there is a derivation with respect to d upon d rho. Okay, when you do that, the derivation of the first one, that is 2 rho multiplied by the second function plus first function multiplied by derivation of the second function. That is what it is done, and this is this. And further later on, what you can do, this you can take it inside. 1 over rho square is basically sitting outside, that you can take it inside, and here 2 rho is there, so therefore that becomes basically here rho and this row both get cancelled out, so I have written here, but here 2 by rho remains from this term. Okay, now all these things you can basically substitute there. So what are those substitutions? So here it is nothing but d square s of rho upon d rho square plus 2 upon 2 by rho multiplied by ds of rho by d rho. Okay, that is the first term, and the second term it remained the same. In the third term, here we made a lambda. We made this as a lambda, right? So everything you can basically substitute over there. So that is done in the next step. D square s of rho upon d rho square plus 2 by rho ds of rho upon d rho plus lambda by this. I told you that this quantity we made it as a lambda. So therefore lambda by rho. So here up to here, okay, the entire quantity we assumed as a constant, that is lambda. Therefore lambda by rho comes from this term. Okay, and the second term, the other term is this. Okay, L into L plus 1 upon rho square multiplied by S of rho. So S of rho basically I am taking as a common factor. Here there is S of rho, and here there is S of rho, and here also there is S of rho. And further what I do, this S of 1 by 4 S of rho, we can actually move to the left hand side, and then you can simplify the equation like this. Okay, now further, now having obtained this one, then how do we solve this expression? Well, we will proceed like a simple harmonic oscillator. You remember that we have assumed the asymptotic solution initially for the simple harmonic oscillator. The same thing will we will follow here also. And what you can do, suppose if rho is very large, just imagine that rho is very large means that the radial distance r is very large. Rho and then r both are directly proportional, and if r is very large, okay, if r is very large, rho is very large. Okay, so if you are at the asymptotic region, that is r is very large, rho is large. If rho is large, this expression, okay, in this expression you can see here that if rho is very large, this term you can neglect, isn't it? So this term you can neglect, and this term also you can neglect. This term also you can neglect, because these are huge quantity and they are sitting in the denominator part. Therefore, all these three terms can be neglected. So what is left over is basically d square s of rho upon d rho square minus 1 by 4 s of rho. This is the differential equation. This is the differential equation. Now this differential equation is very simple, second order differential equation, homogeneous second order differential equation. We can immediately guess two solutions, like a multiplied by e to the power minus rho by 2. Okay, you can just do a simple math. If this is said to be the solution of this differential equation, then it should satisfy that particular differential equation. So that can be calculated. You can take it up as an exercise and do it. Similarly, another function like s of rho is equal to b times e to the power rho by 2. This will also be a solution of this particular differential equation. These two will be definitely the solutions of this homogeneous differential equation, right? I can just take a piece of paper and then immediately you can prove that. But this particular differential equation we cannot accept, because as you can see that If R is, rho is very large, okay, rho is large means asymptotic region. I'm talking about the asymptotic region. Rho is large. Rho is large means that you are very far from the nucleus. So if you are very far from the nucleus, your function should vanish, right? Your function, the wave function should vanish. But then this gives a feeling or appearance that the function basically keep on, increasing. Why? Because exponentially growth function. This is e to the power rho by 2 is a growth function, exponentially growing function. So therefore, this we cannot accept, because we know physically that if you are thinking something as a solution, that should satisfy some physical meaning, right? It should have a physical meaning. But on the other hand, this particular function, you can see that if your rho is large, it is minus, there is a minus sound in the exponentially decaying function. So as you are moving away from the nucleus, the interaction energy basically decreases. Accordingly, the wave function actually vanishes. So therefore, this particular thing we can consider, and the other one we cannot consider it. Okay, even though they are the solutions of the differential equation, which is actually valid at the asymptotic region, we cannot accept this one. Okay. Okay. Now, well, we got the solution, but then this is only applicable at asymptotic region. Okay, we got the solution, but it is only valid and applicable at asymptotic region, that is nothing but a very large radial distances, right? How do you but then we know that we have to have a solution which is a unified solution. It must be valid at everywhere, right? So in order to have a unified solution which is applicable everywhere, then the constant, so there is a constant, this has to be a function rather than it becomes a constant. Okay. Now this function, let us suppose that the f of rho, it is a function a. Let us assume that a is nothing but f of rho. A cannot be a constant and it has to be a function. Okay, it is just exactly similar to that of harmonic oscillator problem. There also we introduce like one constant multiplied by e to the power minus z square by 2. Right. Later, we understand that in order to have a acceptable solution which is applicable everywhere, then we replaced a with the h of z, which is a function, and we proved later on h of z is nothing but the Hermite differential equation, Hermite polynomial, right? Exactly similar thing that is I'm trying to do here also, that we got asymptotic region solution, but then in order to have a unified solution, then the constant a must not be a constant. It has to be some kind of a function. That function, let us assume that f of rho. Okay, f of rho multiplied by e to the power minus rho by 2 is a unified solution. Now, if this is the solution, then this should satisfy the differential equation. What is the differential equation? We got the differential equation like in the previous class. This is the differential equation. D square s of rho by d rho square plus 2 by rho ds of rho by d rho plus lambda by p minus of L into L plus 1 upon rho square minus 1 by 4 of s of rho is equal to 0. This is the differential equation. Okay, now we are assuming that s of rho is nothing but f of rho multiplied by e to the power minus rho by 2. Right? If that is the case, then you will have to substitute. We have to calculate all these things. The first derivative, second derivative, all those things we can substitute. Okay, so you can calculate what is the first derivative. Similarly, what is second derivative? Okay, from the first derivative we can calculate, that is easy. df of it is f of rho. I have not written f of rho, but then wherever f is there, capital F, you please remember that it's a function of rho. Okay, it is a function of rho. So f of s of rho is equal to f of rho multiplied by e to the power minus rho by 2. That is the one. First derivative is what? You can just see that, derivative of the first function, that is d f of rho upon d rho. Okay, the second function you just multiply it, and then derivative of the second function, that is here minus rho by 2, so minus half will come out, and then f of f actually multiplies, and then sorry, minus half multiplied by e to the power minus rho by 2, and then the first function remain the same. First function is nothing but f. Okay, and then from here that you can calculate the second derivative. Okay, second derivative you can calculate, but here you see this is a product, this is a product. Okay, derivative of the product, and this also derivative of the product. So both you have to basically expand it and write down, and you will get this type of equation. Okay, similarly in the differential equation we have 2 by rho. Okay, 2 by rho ds of rho upon d rho is there, right? So that you can actually calculate, because you know the first derivative, and then just multiply the first derivative with the 2 upon rho. So that I have done here. Okay, so after doing everything, what you can do, you just substitute everything in the differential equation that is done here already, and you will get the differential equation like this. Okay, and you can simplify further. So everywhere you have e to the power minus rho by 2 is sitting, e to the power minus rho by 2, every term that we have this one. So you can take it this common term, and then just cancel everything, because the equation everything becomes 0. Therefore the common factor you can just simply remove it. So you will get this differential equation after taking out the common term e to the power minus rho by 2 as a common factor. You will get this differential equation. Okay, further what you can do, you can actually combine the similar terms. Okay, the first step is that you can actually take the common term and then cancel all the, in all the term there is a e to the power minus rho by 2. So this e to the power minus rho by 2 you can just remove from all the terms. And second thing is that there are common terms are there. For example, this is you can see 1 by 4f. Okay, 1 by 4f here, sorry, and here minus 1 by p rho, minus 1 by rho f. Okay, so this type of thing you can combine it. Similarly, df minus df upon d rho, here it is 2 by rho df upon d rho. So these things you can basically combine it. Okay, combine it. That is what it is done here. In the next step, that is what exactly it is done here. So d square f upon d rho square plus 2 by rho minus 1 df upon d rho plus lambda by p minus of L into L plus 1 upon rho square minus 1 by rho multiplied by f of rho is equal to 0. This expression, what I do is that we will try to just simply multiply with rho square. Okay, just to simply multiply with rho square, and this becomes rho square d square f of d square f upon d rho square plus here already 2 by rho is there. So you are multiplying with rho square, therefore it becomes 2 rho minus rho square. Okay, 1 into rho square, rho square itself. So it is here, it is like this, and then here you can combine these two terms. As you can see here, you can combine these two terms, that is lambda minus 1 upon rho, lambda minus 1 upon rho, and then now you are actually multiplying with the rho square. So it is in the numerator. So rho square upon rho, it is basically simply rho, right? That is what this term. And then L into L plus 1 upon rho square, you are multiplying with the rho square, therefore this rho square cancel out, and then this becomes like this. Okay, so this is the differential equation that we have to solve. Okay, if you want to obtain what is f of rho, why we need f of rho? F of rho, if you know, s of rho will be known, because s of rho is nothing but f of rho multiplied by e to the power minus rho by 2, right? That is the relation. So in order to get what is f of rho, we have to solve this differential equation. So how do we solve this differential equation? Well, we will follow the power series method. We will follow the power series method. F of rho may be thought of a infinite power series. Okay, it is just exactly similar to that of the previous cases which we discussed. F of rho may be thought of a infinite, may be expressed as an infinite power series like this. Okay, so rho to the power s multiplied by a naught plus a1 rho plus a2 rho square plus a3 rho cube plus and so on a nu rho to the power nu. Okay, so this is the power series. It is envisaged for the it is predicted for the f of rho. Then the rho to the power s, you can take it inside. Rho to the power s, you can take it inside and just multiply it. That is the first step that you can do it. So this is your f of rho. So having obtained the f of rho, having obtained what is f of rho, this is your f of rho. Then in the differential equation, we have several terms like d square f of rho upon d rho square. That is one term is there. Okay, and that is not only that term, it is multiplied with the rho square. So we have to calculate that term. Similarly, 2 rho minus rho square multiplied by df upon d rho is there. So that has to be calculated. Similarly, other term lambda minus 1 of rho upon f of rho, that is one term. Similarly, L into L plus 1 f of rho is there. So all these terms have to be evaluated, and this is done. This is done here. So how do you do that? Okay, you have f of rho, and then you take the first derivative. That can be done here very easily. So here rho to the power s. So s will come here, and then a naught multiplied by s into rho to the power s minus 1. So what is the derivative of a to the power n? It is nothing but n into a to the power n minus 1. So that fashion you can just calculate the derivative of all the terms, and then you can write down the common terms. Okay, you can also write down the common terms, that we will do it later. But then the 2 rho multiplied by df upon d rho. This is something that it is present in our differential equation. Therefore, I am calculating. So 2 you can keep it outside and then multiply with rho. Okay, you have first derivative. This you multiply just with rho. Okay, just to multiply with the, of course not 2, it is 2 multiplied by rho. That we have to do it. Okay, that is done here. So here you see here first term, for example, rho to the power s minus 1 is there. Okay, when you are multiplying with a rho, this becomes rho to the power s. Similarly here it is already rho to the power s. So therefore you are multiplying with another rho. That means a rho to the power s plus 1. So likewise, you can multiply rho with all the terms in the power series. Okay, then similarly the first derivative is also multiplied with minus rho square. Okay, this term is this term, that the first derivative, I mean this one, has to be multiplied with that. So this is done here. So you can take it inside rho square and then write down. So minus is written here, and s into a naught. Here actually in the first derivative is rho to the power s minus 1. Since it is square, that means 2. So that becomes plus 1. Rho, s minus 1 plus 2. That is basically s plus 1. It becomes s plus 1. And similarly, this becomes s plus 2. So and so on. You can write down all the terms in the power series. Okay, so since we have already known what is the first derivative of this function, then the second derivative can be calculated. It is calculated here. And then you can multiply here with the rho square, because that is what it is present in our differential equation. So rho square multiplied by d square f of rho upon d rho square. This is the term that is there in the differential equation. So let us calculate, just multiply with that. So having obtained this, that you just multiply it. And similarly, the other terms like lambda minus 1 and then L into L plus 1 multiplied by f of rho. That the other terms also you can just multiply it. So essentially what you get is basically all the terms You can just, after evaluating all these individual terms, you take the summation. You take the summation. So I have done here. So this summation is rho square d square, rho square multiplied by d square f of rho upon d rho square plus 2 rho minus rho square df of f of d rho plus lambda minus 1 of rho minus L into L plus 1 f of rho. So these are all the things, right? So just to take the summation, that's all. And then if you take the summation, what will happen? Okay, in the first term, that is rho square d square f of rho. The first term, as you can see here, this is the first term. Okay, here there are infinite number of terms are there. And then second two terms, basically these two. Okay, these two. In these terms also, you have infinite terms are here. And what about these things? Well, here also you have infinite number of terms are there. So this is like, as per our differential equation, this summation actually is equal to 0. That means you have to sum up all the infinite terms in the power series, and then must be equal to 0, right? Must be equal to 0. So as per our definition, you have infinite terms, and then in the power series, and it becomes 0, which means is that all the coefficients in the infinite power series must be basically 0. Okay, otherwise it is not possible. Otherwise it is not possible. And then further, what we do, we'll try to compare the common terms. Okay, we'll try to compare the common terms, like rho to the power s. Rho to the power s. So rho to the power s is basically nothing but, I have a small mistake here. This is not there. Okay, rho to the power s is nothing but this quantity. Rho to the power s is equal to s multiplied by s into s plus 1 a naught plus 2s a naught minus of L into L plus 1 a naught, which must be equal to 0. Which must be equal to 0. Okay. And then that means basically this s into s plus 1 plus 2s minus L into L plus 1 multiplied by a naught must be equal to 0. Okay. Please remember that this is not a recursion relation. We will come to the recursion relation that later. But you realize that a naught cannot be 0. Why? If a naught becomes 0, all the terms in the coefficient in the power series become 0. All the coefficients in the power series, they become 0. Okay, therefore, this we will try to prove it in the next step. For the time being, we accept this. A naught cannot be 0. That I will explain why it cannot be 0. But for the time being, accept it. Okay. And therefore, the other term, that is s into s plus 1 plus 2s minus L into L plus 1, has to be 0. Okay, now you can simplify that, and then you will get a quadratic equation like s square plus s minus of L into L plus 1. And sorry. So after getting the this quadratic equation, now we have to find the solutions. How do we solve the quadratic equation? Elizabeth?
Yes, sir.
How do we solve this quadratic equation?
Minus b plus or minus root b square minus 4ac by 2a.
Very good. Very good. So you can solve this expression, but I am giving the answer for this. So s it will have two roots. Since it is a quadratic equation, it will have two roots. One is s is equal to L. The other one is minus of L into L plus 1. Minus of L plus 1 is the another solution for this quadratic equation. If you don't remember, you can substitute what is L. If you substitute S is equal to L, okay, L square plus L minus L square minus 1, right? So if S is equal to L, then this is like a L square plus L, okay, minus L square minus L. So this is equal to 0, right? So definitely S is equal to L is a root. Another thing is that you can substitute S is equal to minus of L plus 1 whole square, minus of L plus 1. In this case also you can prove that it is 0. That means that both S is equal to L and S is equal to minus of L plus 1 are the roots of this quadratic equation. Now next one, what we do, suppose if S is equal to L plus 1. So suppose if S is equal to minus of L plus 1. The solutions cannot be acceptable because, you know, the infinite power series which we have thought of, the f of rho is nothing but this quantity, that is a naught rho to the power s plus a1 rho to the power s plus 1 plus a2 rho to the power s plus 2 and so on. This is the f of rho. Okay, suppose if s is minus of L plus 1, then you can substitute what is s value. So I have substituted here, then it is a naught rho to the power minus of L plus 1. Wherever s is there, you can substitute minus of s plus minus of L plus 1. When I do that, what I get is basically this. What I get is this. Okay, let us assume that first term. I will take the first term. What is first term? First term is a naught rho to the power minus of L plus 1. So this here I can write it like a naught rho to the power of minus L multiplied by rho to the power of minus 1, right? So 1 over rho. This is essentially this particular term. It is like 1 over rho. What is rho? Rho is 2 alpha times R. Rho is nothing but 2 alpha times R. Suppose if you are coming close to this one, close to the nucleus. Suppose if you are at the very closer to the nucleus, what will be the value of the function? The function basically diverges, right? So the function basically diverges as it is inversely proportional. So if you decrease the value, basically it will diverges. So therefore, the solution S is equal to minus of L into L plus 1. S is equal to minus of L plus 1 cannot be acceptable as a solution. Why? Because the function or the solution basically diverges. Okay, because of these terms, because of all these 1 over rho terms. Okay. On the other hand, if S is equal to L, all these solutions are acceptable. Why? Because these terms are well-behaved functions. Because these terms are well-behaved functions. So if S is equal to L, then this particular thing you can just write down. So wherever there is a S, you can replace with the S or L. So you will get this thing. And all these terms are well-behaved. Like if a rho is small, and then the function value will be small. F of rho will be small. If rho is large, then the function will be large, right? So these are said to be well behaved. On the other hand, this term, these are not well behaved functions. Okay. So what we got, if you compare rho to the power s term, then we got a conclusion that s must be L. Okay, s must be L. Okay. So what is s? Actually, s is introduced as some power, some finite power of rho. Okay, and which need to be determined. And now we found that s value, which we introduced as unknown thing, it is L. Okay. Now we can proceed further, and then we can work it out how to get the recursion relation. Recursion relation, if you want to get, you just go back and then see the power series. Okay, here I don't know how many of you really noticed. Here there are rho to the power s to the power rho to the power s plus mu. There are several terms which are highlighted with red color. There are several terms which are highlighted with red colors. Okay, so here rho to the power s plus mu. This is also coefficient of, okay, s plus mu minus 1, a mu minus 1 is a coefficient of rho to the power s plus mu. Okay, so similarly there is another term. Okay, similarly, there is another term. So all these things are basically coefficients of rho to the power s plus nu. Okay, so you can just compare it, those coefficients, to obtain the recursion relation. Okay? So according to our definition, the infinite power series, all the terms of the infinite power series basically becomes zero, which means is that the coefficients must be equal to zero. So the coefficients, you can just compare, you can take the summation of all the coefficients, that is rho to the power s plus nu, that which I consider as a general term coefficient. We can take it, and then all those things, we take the summation, and then we will get this. Okay, and then after that, so rho to the power s plus nu, you can cancel out, you can move to the other direction, which get basically cancel out. Essentially what you have is uh, this one. This you try to simplify it. How do you do that? Okay, there are certain terms with a nu terms. Okay, there are certain terms with a nu minus 1 terms. So you can combine the ANU terms, and you can also take the summation of the ANU minus 1 coefficients, and then one you keep one side. All the ANU coefficient you can keep it on one side. The other one you can take it to the other side. That is what it is done here. Okay, when you do that, you will get this type of relation. Okay, and you will get this type of relation that you try to simplify it, like okay, you try to simplify it in the numerator. It is fairly simple, you can just guess it. You can do a simple mind calculation also. Here s into s plus nu multiplied by s plus nu minus 1. Okay, and is there any other term here? There is a 2, there is a 2 into s plus nu, right? And then is there any other term here? L into L plus 1. So these are all things you can keep one side. The other thing, other factors, you can take the other side. So and the other terms are basically coefficient. There are only two terms. This term and this term has got a nu minus 1. You can move to the other direction. If you move to the other direction, this becomes 1 minus lambda, and this becomes positive, right? That is what it is done here. So this is s plus nu minus 1. Okay, s plus nu minus 1, and this is 1 minus lambda. It becomes 1 minus lambda. So the numerator is basically this, and multiplied by a nu minus 1, and then denominator all these coefficient, this one and this one, and there is another one, yeah, last one. So the denominator part is here. So you can cancel this 1 and 1, and you can write it like this. It is very straightforward that you can get this recursion relation, and you can simplify it 1 and 1. If you cancel it, then you will get this recursion relation. So the recursion relation here, it is ANU and ANU minus 1, ANU and ANU minus 1, right? Earlier we got a recursion relation, two recursion relation in fact. One in case of the simple harmonic oscillator, the other one is when we are trying to solve the hydrogen atom theta of theta equation. So there, both cases we got ANU is basically ANU plus 2 is expressed in terms of ANU, right? But here it is in terms of ANU and ANU minus 1. ANU minus 1 are a bit difficult. Like, okay, instead of doing that, we can do one more simple thing. So wherever nu is there, I can write down nu plus 1. Wherever nu is there, I can write down ANU plus 1, because this is somewhat easier to remember, right? So wherever there is a nu, you can just write like, you can express like a nu plus 1. When you do that, you will get this expression. So s plus nu plus 1 minus lambda, okay? And here a nu minus 1. So nu plus 1 minus 1. So minus 1 plus 1 cancel out, it is a nu. And in the denominator part here, s into s plus nu plus 1, because nu you can write it like nu plus 1. And then here that nu is nothing but s plus nu plus 1. So s is same, and nu plus 1 Okay, nu plus 1 and there is a minus 1, both cancel out. So it is essentially this quantity. This quantity becomes this. And this term, the 2 into s plus 1. Okay, 2 into nu plus s, 2 into s plus nu plus 1. The third term is this. Okay, the last term is L into L plus 1. So L into L plus 1 doesn't change. So you can keep it as such. Okay, the L into L plus 1, you can just keep it as such. So this is somewhat fairly easy to remember instead of relation, because as of now what we got is A nu is expressed in terms of A nu plus. A nu plus 2 is expressed in terms of A nu. So therefore, just to follow the same trend and to remember in a easier manner, it is written like A nu. Of course, both relations are good. So here, A nu is expressed in terms of A nu minus 1. But here, A nu plus 1 is expressed in terms of A nu. That's all. So what you can see here is that this is infinite power series. What we got, f of rho is an infinite power series, and it is expressed as a naught rho to the power s, rho to the power s plus a1. Okay, a1 rho to the power s plus 1 and so on, right? That is the infinite power series, and the coefficient values we don't know how to calculate. Okay, but now we got a recursion relation, and recursion relation, as you can see here, uh, suppose in this recursion relation, if a naught is 0, if a naught is 0, okay, for example, a naught is 0, that means a nu plus 1 becomes 0. Okay, a naught is the first coefficient, right? If the first coefficient is 0, and according to the recursion relation, we can calculate a1, a2, a3, a4 and so on. All the coefficients in the infinite power series can be evaluated from the recursion relation, right? So if a naught is becoming 0, then all the terms in the infinite power series become 0. Okay, therefore that is the reason why in the previous discussion just before I mentioned that a naught cannot be 0. Okay, a naught in any case it cannot be 0. Okay, further, further the usual procedure, this we can evaluate whatever the coefficient that we may like it, no problem. But then we understand that in order to get the acceptable solution, the power series f of rho is equal to so and so, that cannot run into infinite region. It has to terminate at a finite power of rho, right? In other words, we have to terminate with respect to nu. For a finite value of nu, the power series has to be terminated. So how do we do that? Is exactly same thing that we have followed in the previous cases. Okay, in the numerator, suppose if lambda is exactly this quantity. Okay, suppose if lambda is equal to s plus nu plus 1, then for a finite value of for a finite value of nu, okay, if lambda is equal to s plus nu plus 1, then basically the power series basically terminates, right. So that is what it is. Now we will terminate the power series using lambda value, which has to be this much in order to get the acceptable solutions. Then we just got already a small relation when we are trying to compare the rho to the power s coefficient. We got a relation that s has to be L. So therefore lambda is equal to L plus nu plus 1. Here there is a s. Okay, yes, we understood that s and L are basically same. Okay, and then further let us assume that what is L. L is nothing but the L can vary. It's a constant. Of course, it's an integer 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Right? What is nu? Nu is also same thing. Nu value basically can vary 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Right? So essentially, the summation of these three things is a constant. So that constant, let me introduce as a new concept, that is n. Okay, so instead of writing lambda, I just wanted to change it to L. And what are the possible values of L now? The possible values of L are basically in this expression, as you can realize, that L can be 0. Similarly, mu also can be 0. This can be the minimum possible value for L is 0. This is also 0, right? In that case, the minimum possible value for n is equal to 1. Okay, similarly, in the other case, that is, maybe this is 1 and that is 0. Okay, so likewise, we can have different values for n starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, from this, we can further write down from this relation, you can write down that n minus 1 is equal to L plus mu. Similarly, n minus 1 must be greater than or is equal to L. Okay, similarly, we can also write down n minus 1 must be greater than or equal to 1. Why? Because the L, what is L? L can be 0. L can be, mu can be 0. So at any cost, this has to be either equal to or it will be greater than the value of L. Okay, and further, the constant what we introduce n is nothing but the principal quantum number. Okay, it is basically principal quantum number. You realize that we are actually we have not started our discussion to get this quantum number. We have just tried to find. We attempted to solve the radial equation which we have got. Okay, but during the process we have. Each time we were trying to ensure that the acceptable solution, the solution is acceptable. So when you are trying to basically, when you're trying to verify each time that we are getting actually one quantum number. So this is exactly the same. The previously also same thing has happened. Okay, so let us further proceed further and then try to get the solution for f of rho. What is f of rho? So f of rho, now you can just go ahead and then see this is the differential equation. If you recall that d square f by d rho square plus 2 by rho minus 1 df upon d rho, and this is the equation that we have. And in this expression, we realize that lambda is nothing but a quantum number n. So n you can replace it. Okay, after replacing this particular equation actually exactly similar to that of a very much famous equation, what we call it as a Laguerre differential equation. So this particular differential equation, what we refer to as a Laguerre differential equation. Okay, like previously we have got the Hermite differential equation. We also got associated Legendre differential equation. Likewise, here also we got a differential equation, but it is referred to as a Laguerre differential equation, and whose solutions are known to the mathematicians, and those solutions were directly adopted by the quantum physicists. Okay, so the solutions of Laguerre differential equations are known as Laguerre polynomials, and the Laguerre polynomials are basically written here. Before that, let us try to recall what exactly we have assumed at various stages. So we assumed initially at various stages we have got different expressions, like lambda is one that we have introduced, that is nothing but mu e square upon h cross square alpha for pi epsilon naught, that is lambda. From this you can write down what is, so from this you can basically calculate what is alpha. So alpha is in the denominator, you can move it here. So you will get this alpha is equal to mu square upon n square, the h cross square n for pi epsilon naught. Okay, and in this expression, okay, everything is a constant, right? So you can just mu e square upon h cross square 4 pi epsilon, you can just replace like another constant that is nothing but 1 over a naught. So you can replace this as a 1 over a naught. So a naught, you remember that it is the first Bohr orbit, right? So it is basically mu E square by h cross square 4 pi epsilon naught is equal to 1 over A naught. Okay, and then as a result, alpha becomes, if it alpha becomes 1 over Na naught, alpha becomes Na naught. Okay, so having calculated what is alpha, let us go back and see rho is actually considered to be this quantity. Rho is equal to 2 alpha r, right? Now alpha is 1 over Na naught. So it is, rho is nothing but 2r upon Na naught. So 2r upon Na naught. Please remember this. Okay, and then the solution R of R is nothing but RNL of R. Okay, the solution of R of R. Initially, we just thought that we are trying to find out the radial equation, radial function. Now we realize that the radial function depends upon two quantities. One is two quantum numbers. One is the principal quantum number. The other one is L, right? Azimuthal quantum number. It depends upon both. Therefore, so RNL of R. So the radial function now it becomes a function of this one. Okay, and it is expressed in this fashion. So this is a kind of normalization constant multiplied by e to the power of minus rho by 2 multiplied by rho to the power L. This is not 1, this is L. And then capital, okay, capital L, suffix n plus L, and superscript 2L plus 1 of rho. Okay, superscript 2L plus 1 of rho. Okay, let us assume that 2L plus 1 may be a capital S and n plus L may be thought of a capital P. Okay, once you assume that, then this equation becomes, this equation, this particular term becomes this. Okay, now what is this? What is this? So this can be evaluated using this formula. Okay, L suffix P superscript S of rho is equal to D to the power S upon D rho to the power S multiplied by dP, yes, dP of rho. And dP of rho can be evaluated by this formula, that is nothing but e to the power rho multiplied by d to the power p upon d rho to the power p multiplied by rho to the power p multiplied by e to the power minus rho. Okay, so this is complete solution of radial equation. This is a complete solution of radial equation, which depends upon actually two quantum numbers, that is principal quantum number and L, and also azimuthal quantum number L. Okay, so these formulas, like previously also I have mentioned, you have to remember and memorize, because in the examination point of view, we will ask what is R20 of R. Okay, R20, n is equal to 2 and then L is equal to 0. That means basically it is a 2s orbital, right? What is the radial function of 2s orbital? Then you have to basically remember this and then calculate, and then finally you will get some equation in the rho, and then afterwards you substitute what is rho value. Rho is nothing but 2 alpha times R, that you substitute, and then you will get the a complete radial equation in terms of R. Okay, fine. And then finally, before concluding for today's class, let me go back and see. And during the process, we also obtained few equations. From those equations, we can actually evaluate what is the energy of the hydrogen atom. Well, again, the same relation I am just trying to recall. The relation is that the lambda is actually a small substitution which we made in order to make the equation simpler. That is mu e square upon h cross square alpha 4 pi epsilon. Now lambda, later on we found that lambda is nothing but n. Lambda is nothing but it's a constant, and which we replaced with a n. Okay, n is equal to mu e square h cross square alpha 4 pi epsilon, where alpha is nothing but mu e square upon h cross square n 4 pi epsilon. Okay, from this equation, you can write down what is alpha. But alpha square is what? Alpha square is equal to minus 2 mu E upon H cross square, according to our definition, which we have made a substitution or definition, which we made it during the process of solution, right? So it is alpha square. Now what I can do, I can take the square of this, okay? I can take the square of this and then that to get the energy relation. Okay, that is what done here. That mu square e to the power 4 h to the power h cross to the power 4 n square 16 pi square epsilon naught square is equal to alpha square, right? Alpha, this side is here. Alpha square is nothing but minus 2 mu e upon h cross square, right? And here you can see some of the common thing. Here there is a mu. That mu and one mu can cancel. Similarly, h cross square is there, h to the power 4 on this side. So both can be cancelled, right? And you can make it very simpler. And this becomes energy. Energy is equal to, and this there is a 2. That 2 you can move to the denominator on the other side of the equation. So it becomes E is equal to minus mu E to the power 4 upon 32 h cross square n square I square epsilon naught square. Okay, this you can simply rearrange it so that you can remember this expression for for all the future purposes. It's like, okay, so I just rearranged it. So 2n square. So I have written 2 outside and 16. There will be 16. So there will be 16. That 16, when it goes inside the square, it becomes 4, right? So essentially what I did is that I have taken h inside, h cross square, n square, pi square, epsilon naught square. So everything I have put inside a bracket and then I have taken a square of it. So this is the energy expression of hydrogen atom, which you might have studied in the previous classes, right? Is it matching with the expression what you have seen in the previous classes, or is there any difference? Shivani, do you remember what is the energy of hydrogen atom?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember this is the expression that you have seen or different expression?
So I guess this is the expression.
You are guessing. Well, this is the expression of hydrogen atom, the total energy of the hydrogen atom, and you realize that it only depends upon the principal quantum number n. Okay, it only depends upon principal quantum number n. It doesn't depend upon any other quantum numbers. Okay, so why it doesn't depend upon other quantum numbers, which we will discuss as a part of angular momentum, but not now. But for the time being, you accept it. This is the hydrogen atom, total energy of the hydrogen atom. So you remember this, and it will be useful for calculating the total energy of the hydrogen atom. And as you can see that, as the n value, what are the possible value for n? N can vary from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Therefore, the energies can be accordingly. You can have different energy levels. Okay. If n is not there, this is like a simple normal classical expression where there is no quantization. But here, the principal quantum number n actually has quantized. It is quantized, and it says that it has got either, it can take either 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and so on, but not any other value. That means is that the energy of the hydrogen atom is quantized. Okay. So unlike the classical expression, you may try to recall that the energy can be 0 or the energy can be infinity, right? But there is no the quantization. But here the energy cannot be 0. Why? Because the principal quantum number n actually it will start from 1. Therefore, it cannot be 1. It cannot be a 0 at any cost. Right. Well, this is all of it for today, and then we will discuss further in the next class. And if you have any doubts, please feel to ask me now itself. So today what we have done is essentially we tried to solve the radial equation of the hydrogen atom, which you have obtained in the previous class. So during this process, we have obtained the principal quantum number, and also we have got an expression for eigenvalue or the energy of hydrogen atom. And then we understood that it is quantized, and it has its values are basically starting from n values are starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Accordingly, the energy values can be different. Okay, I think it is ideal that we should keep a suffix. Energy actually depends upon quantum number n, so it is better that we should keep a suffix n to indicate that the energy depends upon the quantum number n. Okay, I think we will discuss further about the hydrogen atom and its functions. All those things we will see it in the next class.